Hey guys, it's Jay. I didn't think I would be making a video this soon, but this idea just came to me, and basically I'm going to be narrating over this because the original video went to like 2 hours long, and I tried to trim it down, but it ended up being like 1 hour and 16 minutes, and I did not want to subject you guys to that. So basically, what this is a few years back, some friends and I had a Minecraft server that we would play on with different activities and games and stuff, and we had an area for our animals, and I wanted to try my hand at building a barn. And eventually we kind of stopped going to the server and like never came back to it, and I always regretted not finishing the barn. So I made this whole long video about me trying to build the barn and different stuff that's happened in the video and me commenting on it, and it just ran too long, so I just pretty much sped everything up, and I'm just going to be narrating over this part. I have another part that I can hopefully, trim down to a good enough size. But yeah, so this was just me explaining everything I just did. And yeah, so this also counts as like an update to say what else I want to do with the channel. Also, well, real quick, because I remembered, this is what I'm going to be working on. This is the example that I originally used for the barn back in the day, and I tried to point out different stuff, and then I realized that my cursor wasn't showing up in OBS, so I pointed out a whole lot of stuff. You can see the numbers down at the bottom moving like I'm pointing to different things, but I was just looking at the picture, and of course I could see my cursor there, but eventually I looked over at OBS and realized that I couldn't see it. So I eventually just put little annotations to show what I was pointing at. But basically, yeah, so I always regretted not being able to finish the barn, and a lot of different updates have been added since then, like the aquatic update and the villager update and the nether update, which all of them I love, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to be doing like a survival let's play of anything. There is hopefully a game coming out in a couple days. Well, not a game, but like a mod coming out in a couple days that I hope to be playing. Oh, this is me showing that I looked at this one because I didn't like how the original silo was just silver and it didn't really match the barn, and I liked the design of these doors more, along with that open window. So I'm going to make a red silo next to it. I might do the silver top, I might just make it red, I don't know. But it's going to be red and white because all barns should be red and white. And I ended up using the grid picture. Oh, I'm going to make the silo like that. That's what this picture was. I'm going to have those horizontal lines on the side of the silo. And anyway, so as you can see, everything is sped up because I tried to get it as short of amount of time as possible. And the frames were also really bad. Oh, okay, I sped up the video, so okay, I'm gonna have to go in and, you know what, I'll just take out the annotations. So, forget what I said about annotations. There are going to be annotations. I'll just explain as it happens. But the frames were really bad. On the game screen, I'm just basically talking about the area I'm going to use for the barn and mapping out the area and everything. But when I looked at Minecraft, the frames didn't look that bad, but well, every now and then the frames would get bad if I did something too quickly, or if, you know, I did something repetitively a lot. But I guess in the transition, and I'm trying to move a mile a minute because I want to keep up with everything that's happening, but this is the first time I've ever used OBS. Before I had this, you know, kind of crude screen recorder that I would use, so I would always have to, and then I started cutting the video in places because the frames would get so bad. So that's one cut. But anyway, so this is the first time I've ever used OBS, and I really like it. I can actually record through the program. And, and this is what I'm talking about, the controls, how I never really liked the WASD, so I put it all on one line so I don't have to keep going up to a separate line. And then the swap item is F, but I changed that to walk forward. And then I forget what I'm talking about in the video, but I was going to say that I put the inventory key to I, so I can remember I for inventory. But anyway, I really like OBS. I'm pretty much going to be using it from here on out. Also, I wanted to make the point that I spawned in a village, which I've never done before. I thought that was pretty cool. And here I'm just mapping out the blocks. Originally, I was going to use the Crimson Wood from the new Nether update, but I've just always seen it in videos, and I couldn't really tell how dark it was. So, I was hoping it would be the right color, but unfortunately it's too dark for what I want. So I decided to go against it, and originally I used red wool, but I was hoping there would be another block that was around, and of course I always have to keep changing it from that to day, just because I can't do things fast enough. But I was hoping to use all these cool new blocks from the different updates, but none of them really matched, so I just ended up going with the red wool for the red wood of the barn. I thought the block of redstone would be good, because it's about the same color. It's really bright, which I like, but it has this dark area in the middle, and this is just me going through. And you can basically see what's happening. I just used quartz and red wool, as I originally did. But I also explained that originally I tried to make a bell tower, like you saw in that first picture. But I tried to make a bell out of gold blocks, and it looked okay. But now with the villager update, we have a legit bell. So I'm just going to stick one of those in there. And I'll go into the different things as it pops up. But yeah, so like I said before, in Minecraft, the frames were bad every now and then, but for some reason, when I brought it over, or when it somehow between it, like OBS is capturing, like it made it real jarring, like even more jarring than it was in the actual game. Here I'm just trying to see if there are any other red blocks. I liked the color of the coral, but I forgot that if you're not in water, it just turns to ash, basically. So this is just me being like, well, I have no choice but to go with the red wool. But yeah, so I still don't really know what I'm going to do with my channel. These aren't going to be like every day or every week. Well, this, I'm going to try to put it out as close together as possible. And then, like I said, in 2 days, there's going to be a mod released. I don't want to say it now. I want it to be a surprise. But I'm going to try to play that if if the frames are still bad, I'm going to see what I can do about maybe clearing some memory or just doing something. But I've always been interested in game mods, especially ones combining 2 or more games or IPs. And there's one that I've been following for, I want to say a few years now, that combines 2 of my favorite games. They're N64 games, if that gives you a hint. But yeah, this is just me plotting out everything. I said in the original video that from left to right it's going to be 30 blocks, and the way the grid was made out in paint, it was going to be like, I think 34 blocks high, but I didn't realize how big that would be, like, translated into the game. So here I'm just mapping out the bottom, and the frames get real bad. So, but this is when I start counting up, and then in a minute I'm going to realize how big it's going to be. And see, that's only like, I want to say that was like 16 or 18, and I'm just trying to process. I even have to go over and look at the thing, and I toyed with, well, instead of going grid by grid, do every 2 grid as 1 block, and that kind of worked, but I eventually decided to go with 30 like wide and then 16 tall, and that seemed to work, but and like I said, I just have to, I'm taking so much time that I have to keep changing it back to day, and at first it had been so long that I kept forgetting the command. But anyway, I'm going to break for a second, and eventually to when I get one side sort of figured out right now. And then this is me just like a speed up time lapse of me trying to work through, trying to get the angle as close to what it is in the picture as possible. But yeah, as we do this little time lapse here, because it goes on for a little bit, let me just tell you what's going on. So basically, I'm back to work. That's been going good. Everyone in my family is pretty much doing okay with everything going on. I'm surviving, so you don't have to worry. Also, this is about the length of videos that I kind of want to strive for, like around 30 to 40 minutes each, especially with like gameplay, or pretty much whatever I do. But my videos don't really get a lot of views. I'm hoping to change that just by putting up a lot of different stuff. But for anyone who actually does watch my videos, first of all, thank you. I don't know why. I don't really think I'm that entertaining. I don't really have that big of a personality like Jacksepticeye or Markiplier or any of those other creators. But I know I have a pretty decent amount of subscribers. So you've subscribed to something, or maybe you just kind of forgot that you were subscribed. And anyway, if you do watch my videos, or if you're still subscribed for some reason, just please let me know somehow, either in the comments below, or go to my Twitter and leave me a message, or if you have an idea, like, for something for me to do, No horror games though. I like watching them, but I just can't play them, because it's one thing watching like a horror movie, but like when you're suddenly put in that position, it's a totally different like scenario. Like you're actually in the action. Like I don't go to haunted houses. Like I don't really do any of that, because it's like this thing where, not that I can't really like not discern between fact and fiction, but it's a lot different. Like, let's just say I had a bad experience with a haunted house once, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, if you want to see me do something, or if you think there might be something that you want me to check out, like maybe like a free story-driven game on Steam that you think I might like, or just whatever, just leave it in the comments below. Or if there's anything you like about my channel, if you liked those Smash Brothers things, because those got a few views that I was doing, just putting different music to the Smash Brothers trailer. I could do some more of that. I have some ideas for that. Or just different stuff. Honestly, at this point, this is just me just mapping out everything. So at this point, I was just getting back to the video that's in front of us. I was just plotting out where the pins were going to go. There's going to be a ceiling with like a window in the front, like you saw in that first picture, and there's going to be an attic with like some hay bales and just different stuff. And this is about where the bell tower is going to go, and then the silo is going to go about here. And then there's going to be a storeroom on the side. I'll talk about that in a minute, because the doors on the front are going to be purely aesthetic. You can't open them or anything. I wish you could, that would be cool. But there's going to be a storeroom on the side of the barn, on the right hand side. Here I'm still talking about the silo in the original video. But there's going to be a storeroom on the right hand side of the barn that actually has a door on the front of it that you can walk into and you can lead animals into, and it'll close behind you, and then another door leading into the actual barn from the side, and there's going to be paths next to the pens and this stuff. And this is where I found a cat that reminded me of a cat I had in real life. His name was Cole, K-O-L-E, and he was black and had yellow eyes. Sadly, he is no longer with us, but I eventually decided to tame that cat in honor of him. I do that a little later on. And I'm going to put him in the attic and give him his own room, just different stuff for him. But there's going to be a space here, and then this is going to... Oh, and this is my character model, by the way. I showed that off before, but I was talking about something else. It's actually based on an OC of mine from an old fan comic my friend and I were doing online, based on Teen Titans. I originally had a character model in Minecraft, but I lost the file, so I decided to redo it. The only problem is, you can't see it in here, but a bit of the jacket like led onto the skin of his arm, so I have to go back in and redo that. But this is just me planning out the pins. Originally I wanted them to be like 9x9 and have like a 4 wide path in the middle, so there would be one block of space between the path and the pin, and then one block of space between each of the pins, like this. And then, so that would be 3 pins on each side for a total of 6. And then I left enough space at the end, so if I needed, I could make it like 4 pins on each side. And then I'm talking about the attic again. And then, so this is when I did the, which, I made an update video, but I've been using Windows Movie Maker, and I originally loved it because pretty much everything I just needed to do was all in one program. But then eventually, like a couple months back, it made me update, and like most of the stuff that I needed to do, like in order to do it, I needed to upgrade to the Pro version. So there were only like 2 or 3 things, well, 2 or 3 things that I could actually do from like the main menu, and only like 1 or 2 of the things were things I really ever would need to do. Oh, and here I'm just going through the different animals that I would put in the barn. So I was like, well, now I can't really do any videos. Oh, and for the life of me at this point, because I was trying to see like which animals to go, and I forgot about chickens, and they're like the most basic of barnyard animals. I thought of all the other ones, but I was like, I couldn't think of a 6th one to go in there. And I was like, cows, pigs, sheep, horses, and then like the last 2 I couldn't think of. I couldn't even think of chicken, and I couldn't really think of a 6th one, so I was like, well, you know, rabbits are kind of farmy, so those are the ones I decided to do. But anyway, so for about a month, I couldn't really make any videos, even if I wanted to, just little fun ideas, because Windows Movie Maker, and I know there are other programs, I've tried them, well, at least the free ones anyway, but a lot of them were too complicated. I couldn't really figure out what to do. It was like they were trying to be too all-inclusive and try to do too much at once. But then I was like, well, why don't I just see if I can download, you know, Movie Maker Classic? So I was able to, or well, at least the version I was using. So I was able to go online and find a download for it and kick the Windows 10 Movie Maker to the curb. Oh, also, funny story. I totally didn't realize that I was like, okay, 9x9 is still a little too small, so I'm going to make them 10x10. But for some reason, I only lengthened one side of the pins. So it ended up being 9x10. And this totally didn't occur to me. And so I was like, yeah, just lengthen one side and it's 10x10. So I went through the trouble of marking out what I thought was 10x10 areas, and just I took the time to fill in a bit of this mine entrance, you know, so I could actually put the side of the barn there. And I think I did a pretty good job, like, terraforming. I've never really terraformed before. Like, I've always filled stuff in, but I've never tried to, you know, like, fill stuff in and then try to make the rest look like randomly generated. But for my first time doing it, I thought I did pretty well. But I watch a lot of Minecraft builders that like do organic builds and like do a lot of terraforming. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I've learned a couple tricks. Like there's Gemini Tay, she's really good. She does a lot of organic builds, like giant dragon sculptures and like forests, like woodland elf forests, and just like, she's amazing. You need to go look her up. And then there's this guy named Fwhip, F-W-H-I-P. He does more like buildings and like structures and like towns and villages and stuff. He's really good. And then who are some others? Smallish Beans, he's pretty good. Corellis is one who kind of shows off a lot of other creative like buildings or builders. Sorry. And then here I'm just kind of, but yeah, there's a, oh, and also Z1N Only. He's pretty good. He's a British Minecrafter that does a lot of, you know, build a city, build a world, like different stuff. There are lots of creative Minecrafters out there. If you just search them out. He actually has a good Z1 and Only has a series on how to build a mansion. Oh, and when I was putting it, this is when I eventually figured out that my measurements were wrong as I was planning out this and trying to make it so all the, because I'm going to put gates on all four sides, and so I want them to be even on all the sides. And then I started counting. I was like, wait a minute. There's 5 spaces on this side and 4 spaces on this side. And then I start to put 2 and 2 together and realize, oh, I didn't do 10 by 10. I did 9 by 10. So then I realized I'm going to have to shift everything over by 1. So I just spent the last 10 minutes doing all this for nothing. And I was just super... Because see, at first I thought, oh, I just miscounted when I was placing the fences. But then I started looking at the other spaces. And I was like, no, they're all like that. So I'm gonna have to push everything over by 1. And I was kind of sad because I actually did a pretty good job of terraforming, like with that mine entrance over there, and then I just have to get rid of it to make way for the side of the barn. But anyway, back to Z1 and Only. He has a really good, it's a few years old at this point, but like how to make a mansion series, and I actually followed it step by step and made the mansion in the server that I was talking about. And he went room by room of like showing you, okay, this room is the kitchen, and you can do like, because what I always thought was, oh, you can only use 1 block for the wall and just build, you know, and whatever block that is, that has to be the block for the next room. But he's like, no, if you take the time to put 2 different blocks side by side, it'll make it, you know, a little more cramped, but you can have 2 rooms be next to each other, and they can have 2 different colored walls. And, you know, that sounds obvious, but at the time I was like, oh my god, I never considered that. And so I did that, and then he showed how to make like a simple little note block doorbell, and he actually showed how you could make like a custom like regular tree out in the front yard and make it, you know, simple but, you know, big, and then replace all the leaves with pink wool, and you have like a cherry blossom tree, like a sakura tree. And I thought that was so cool. So you should definitely check that out. And he just has different videos, like, for different stuff. And so yeah. So I was actually kind of sad because I want everything to be, like, equal, and, like, I want it to have, like, one fence gate entrance. Then I realized that I'll have to have two. So I decided to kind of do, and then here's where I have to fill in the terraforming that I didn't work that hard on, but I was actually pretty proud of. And then this is when I decide to tame the cat, because I kept hearing him meow and meow, and I never really had a reason to tame an animal in Minecraft, because I only really had one Minecraft series, and when I was on the server, like, we just played games all the time. So this is the first time I've ever tamed an animal in Minecraft, so check that off the to-do list. Anyway, but yeah, as I was saying, like, I hated that I had to make two fence gates instead of one on each side, but then I decided to make one basically be the in and one be the out. Here I'm just going back and filling in the spaces of where the fence gates are going to be. But yeah, also, you know, if you don't really want to watch the videos, you just want someone to talk to, you can leave a little message in the comments, and I'll get back to you, just telling me about your day, or, you know, if you want to vent about something, you know, I'm a pretty good listener. But if you don't want it to be public, you know, if it's something stressful or family related or something that you don't want, you know, just airing out there for everyone to see, you just send me a private message on Twitter. Just be like, hey Jay, I just need someone to talk to about this. I'd be like, yeah, sure, we can talk about it for however long you want. Like I said, I don't really have a plan for my channel. I just kind of use it to watch videos, but I do kind of want to do something with it. And if all it is just me doing just fun stuff that I enjoy, then that's fine. And oh, here I was showing off that the cave actually ran. I'm sorry to go on so many tangents, but I'll get to talking about something and then I'll be doing one thing in the video and then I'll point out something, and you know, so yeah, so basically the point is I'll just put out videos of stuff like this where I always regretted not finishing the barn, and I just want to see if I can do it and make it look, you know, at least somewhat good. And if I could teach someone how to do something, or at least be entertaining in some way, or at least just, you know, have somewhere for people to go to just chill out for a little while, you know, so be it. I'm not planning to be some big, huge YouTuber, like I said, like Jacksepticeye or Markiplier, or God forbid PewDiePie, but I'm just a small-time channel, just doing stuff to make me happy. Some days I might not put out anything at all. Like, if I can't really think of anything to do, then that's fine too. I don't expect to get paid for this or anything. I'm not going to open up a Patreon. I have a job that pays pretty well, and, you know, and I'm surviving. I'm not sick, you know, I'm not really in any kind of danger or anything. I'm just living within my means. If I find something interesting that I want to do, just make a video about it, I'll make a video about it. But I don't have to. But anyway, so this is just me just doing a basic time lapse of the roof. Just because I realized it was getting pretty long at this point. And I keep saying, oh, I'll be done in a minute, I'll be done in a minute, and then I guess what it was I just didn't realize how long it would take. Like, I would see YouTubers, like, build these huge mansions, and they would say, oh, it took me, like, 8 hours. And I would be like, Jesus, that's a long time. But this is just one barn. I mean, yeah, it's pretty big, but just in one little area. Like, it shouldn't take that long, but this one part, like I said before, this one video took like 2.5 hours. And then I tried cutting out all the like stuff of just me figuring out like different angles and just me doing different stuff, and it was still like 1 hour and 16 minutes. And I originally thought of just uploading that and being done with it, but I'm like, no one is going to sit there for 1 hour and 16 minutes and watch me build a barn. Like, maybe if I was a big, huge channel, they might. But hardly anyone even... I get hardly any views at the moment. I know no one's going to sit here for 1 hour, so... But there was nothing really else I could cut out, and this is me just doing the path block. And I ended up having to brighten it because it was so dark, because no real light could get in. So the bottom bar was really terrible. This was as bright as I could make it. But then I was like, well, maybe if I speed everything up, like I'm doing now, I can just kind of narrate over it. But I thought that was going to be a pain, because normally I do all my narration in Audacity. I didn't even realize that Movie Maker, at least this version, has a built-in narration function. Which that's actually what I love about OBS. You can actually narrate through that app. You don't have to use Audacity. So you can record the game audio and your audio at the same time. I tried, like I said, lots of different screen recording software, just different game capture software before, but they were too complicated, or they didn't really have what I need. So I couldn't really understand how to do them. So I never tried OBS because I just assumed it was like all of those. And here I'm just putting some shroom lights down for lighting, because I haven't had a chance to mess with any of the nether stuff. And I thought, well, that would be a fun way to interact with the nether and actually be able to see what I'm doing. I tried the Soulfire torches, but they still didn't have that much light. So here I'm just going around to different parts of the path, and then I tried to find a way to cover them up. I can't remember if I do it in this video or the next video. Yeah, okay, so I tried brown carpet. I thought it would match the path block better, which in the darker areas it kind of does, but in the lighted areas it doesn't really. But speaking of the other video, I recorded a whole other 2.5 hours of this, and I'm still not done with the barn. So this is going to be in parts. This is obviously going to be part 1. And I was able to get this down to 40-something minutes. I'm going to see if so I can get the other part to round in and maybe... Oh, and I realized this whole time I was just building in here, and the rain was going, and my cat was just out there in the rain. And before anyone says, yes, I know it's not a real cat, but, you know, I'm a softie when it comes to animals, especially cats. I love cats. So then I try to get him to come inside, and he doesn't want to listen to me, and I even hold out a fish, and he's like, no. And he even comes over the block a couple times, and then decides, no. So I try to go out here and then, you know, lead him back in, and he doesn't want to listen. And as I said before, I'm saying him because the cat I had in real life that this cat reminds me of was a boy. So I have basically, well, you know. Anyway, so I can't get him to listen to me for the life of me. And I am going to leave this annotation in here. SpongeBob voice. I don't really feel like it. Anyway, so I eventually had to just literally lead him into the barn and just tie him to the post so he would stay in here and stay out of the rain. And I can get some building done. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just filling the areas of the pins with podzol so it looks like dirt and leaves, like the animals have, you know, just trotting around, and, you know, they brought in stuff from the outside into the pin and everything, and then later I'm going to customize the pins with like different, well, like here, put in like different blocks of grass and just different things like related to animals. My cat said something, I don't even remember. And then I'm just going to use some bone meal to, you know, make the grass grow, just like, make it look like something. Like a little more realistic than just, oh, just dirt and some grass. I can't remember exactly what I'm doing here. Oh, right, I'm trying to find another way to cover the shroom lights. And I think I'm actually talking about them at this point. And then I go back to phone dealing, and I'm like, I'll figure out something else to cover them later, which I think I do in the next video. But yeah, so that's basically it. This video is about to be over. Right now I'm just trying to make it a little more random with my placement of the grass and what's in it. So this is pretty much it for this video. Next time will be the next video, and hopefully I can get it around this amount of time, if not less. But this is about as long as I'm going to try to make them, like 30-40 minutes, maybe less depending on what it is. But yeah, so if you have any ideas, or if you just want to see this play out, just leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and yeah, that's it for now. I will catch you in the next video. If it's not this, then it's going to be that game mod. Like I said, it's coming out in 2 days. Today's the 20th, so it'll be coming out on the 22nd. That's Wednesday. I'm going to be away all day, but maybe like Thursday or Friday. It just depends on if I can actually play it. Alright, bye.